A lot of people don't know this, but wokeness technically is a sin. If you don't read and understand the history of wokeness, you're not going to understand why it's a sin. Wokeness is the whole term is a tribute to Karl Marx and his awakening of consciousness concept. The awakening of consciousness is essentially that if you get enough people mad enough about the things that are happening in their country, they're going to rise up and have a violent, bloody revolution. That's what Marx believed. He believed that these violent, bloody revolutions were the ultimate goal of society. That we should strive to have these violent, bloody revolutions, because every time we do, we're going to destroy the old broken ways and create something better. That's what Marx believed. But Marx, if you take his name, it adds to 666. Well, when you take the Aramaic spelling of his name, it adds to 666. That's why the Illuminati and a lot of other groups view him as a god. He is the god to the Communist Party. Karl Marx is. That's what's wrong with communism. But his name adds to 666, and it's kind of interesting because you got the Freemasons and the Illuminati both with their eye, and then when you remove the two eyes from Karl Marx's name, it equals 666. But I serve a God with two eyes. Okay, we were created in God's image. He's got two eyes. Not one, not three. God's got two eyes. Okay, but anyway, wokeness is a sin because it's based on this concept of getting people to rise up and have a bloody revolution like what we saw in the BLM riots. People were rising up and killing people. But if you look at the history, everything we witnessed there happened before. Okay? These events were what led to Nazism. Back in pre-World War II Germany, right before Hitler's rise to power, there was a lot of dispute between Christians, Catholics, and the Jewish people. And the Jewish people were constantly being oppressed. They went through hell. And eventually, a lot of Jewish people started joining the Catholic Church and joining secret societies to try to band together and fight back. That's a large part of what started and popularized the Illuminati, was fighting back against anti-Semitic oppression and racism. And if you're just getting your history from Europe, you're not going to understand the American history. At the same time, there were groups like the Illuminati who was created for the sole purpose of, for the main purpose of to infiltrate Freemasonry, steal their secrets, rule over them from the inside. Then you've got groups like the Skull and Bones Society, where they're not Freemason. They are Illuminati. Okay? Their whole legacy is based on stealing holy relics. They claim they have the bones of Geronimo. Like when you watch an Indiana Jones movie, like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the Nazis are an archetype that represent like these Skull and Bones guys. These Skull and Bones guys, the Jesuits have done it, the Illuminati. It's a lot of different secret societies that have banded together, believing that by banding together, they're going to create, I don't know, they're going to raise up, they want to recreate Jesus, basically. They believed eventually, inevitably, they would have the technology where they could clone Jesus, and if they could just get the Holy Grail, if they could just get the cup, they could take a little bit of blood from the cup and eventually clone them. It's all in dialectical materialism. They wrote this stuff like 130 years ago. Like, this was the plan for 130 years. The Illuminati has been desperately seeking the Holy Grail because they knew just a drop of the blood is all that it'd take where they could at least come up with a copy. They've got this program called Homo Deus, where they've really been trying to clone Jesus for quite some time. Like, this really going on, people. Really going on. Like, that's a large part of the deal with the search for the Holy Grail is they want to clone Jesus. But I have a pretty good feeling that, like, if they were to clone Jesus, like, he's going to come out and, like, he's going to be silent until he knows what's going on. He's going to be a truth seeker. Like, Jesus, he's the Son of God. He's going to be listening to what God says. He's going to care more about what God says than what the TV says, than what anybody else says. Like, he's going to be the type that goes to the primary sources. He's not going to just sit there and read the history books that you get in class. The history books you get in class, a bunch of private businesses affiliated with the Illuminati decided what they're going to put in there. Like, the textbooks in the classroom, they filter that. They just tell you what they want you to know. It's true, but it's not the whole truth. Okay? But technically, the Illuminati declared war on the Freemasons 245 years ago, and nobody has ever surrendered. This war is still going on today. Like, Knights Templar, like, whoever the successors are, they're in hiding. Like, they don't fight dirty like these Illuminati pigs and the wolves and all that. Like, the Knights Templar isn't gonna fight dirty. They're gonna let I guess the evil emperor move in a little close, and they know how to fight back. I would not mess with the Knights Templar. I would never, ever, ever, not in a million years, mess with the Knights Templar. But anyway, Templars were the good guys. They were like the protectors of the Grail. But if you really follow the Grail legends and stuff, the Templars set a lot of traps. So even in Freemasonry, they set traps. Like, a lot of the Freemason rites and rituals and a lot of these secret societies, people are literally selling their soul to Satan and to join the society or to come to a certain rank. I'm not saying all. I'm not saying all by any means, but some of them. Some of them, like, you literally have to sell your soul to Satan to join. But not all. No, not all at all. Because I think most of the, like, free and accepted ones, like, they're pretty good. I've even heard the term clean craft used before, but that's something different. It's funny. And then there's a lot of other societies modeled after the Freemasons where they're like, okay, we see what's going on, and this doesn't jive well with what the Bible says. This doesn't jive with my faith, so we're going to join a different society. But the Freemasons, for the most part, most Freemasons I know are incredible, great people. They really are. There are some treacherous Freemasons out there. I've learned that the hard way. I recently contacted some Freemasons asking for help, and I don't know if it was the people I contacted or if they've got a mole or something, but anyway, I reached out and got smacked in the face. Well, got smacked in the neck, technically, but that's a long story. I will go into it eventually, but anyway, there's a long war going on. Freemasons are behind enemy lines. Communism, the Communist Manifesto, was a tribute to Adam Weishaupt's Illuminati Manifesto. And like most of the George Lucas movies, the Nazis, they represent the Jesuits, the Knights of Malta, the Illuminati, the Skull and Bones, all of these groups who have sworn blood oaths and stuff like that to infiltrate other societies, to steal their secrets, to take them back to Europe, etc. Like, most of World War II was fought over Adolf Hitler trying to infiltrate Freemasonry and steal their secrets. Like, before Hitler went after the Jews, he went after the Freemasons. Like, that's what the Holocaust was about, was torturing people and causing enough bloodshed that they believed that they could force Jesus to come back. Like, really, that's what the Illuminati believes, is that through enough bloodshed, they will force Jesus to come back, and they can catch him, steal his blood, clone him. Like, they wrote about this 120 years ago, people. But I guess too many people don't believe. But wokeness is a strategy to create that bloodshed that the Illuminati wanted. Okay? It was basically to socialize, indoctrinate, and brainwash people to the extent to think that if anybody's doing better than you, if anybody has divine favor in their life, if anybody has the favor of God in their life, then they've done so by cheating you. They've done so by doing something to hurt you. They want to make people think that everything's a zero-sum game. That the only reason they've got something good is because they took it from you. And they really try, our own colleges here in America are trying to turn people into these brainwashed whatever, where they just believe these Illuminati communist doctrines, and it's disturbing. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of truth. Like, most of what you learn in school is truth with a little bit of twist to it, where, like, looking back, I guess a lot of what I know, I didn't understand what I was learning at the time, and the parts that I thought were offensive were actually the truth, but not the full truth. Because I guess the full truth was too offensive. Like, once I heard the full truth and understood the full truth, it's like, oh God, no wonder they keep that hidden. Like, people would get hurt if they knew the full truth. Like, seriously, people would get hurt if they knew the full truth. But the problem is there's like some wicked people doing some really wicked things, and I don't think they even know how corrupt and wicked it is, because they just see everybody else doing it. They see everybody else doing it, and they're like, oh, well, look at him. He's successful. Yeah, let me be with the in crowd. I'm going to be with the in crowd. And nah, like, the Bible says you're going to be despised by the world for his name's sake. If you're truly following Jesus Christ, a lot of people aren't going to like you because you speak the truth. And wokeness is socializing and indoctrinating people to hate and despise hearing the full truth. Like, a Christian is supposed to go to their brother when they're sinning and doing something wrong and correct them. They're supposed to say, hey, that's not right. You shouldn't do that. Like, you're not doing the right thing. You're supposed to say something, but you're supposed to do it the right way and for the right reasons. And, yeah, anyway, wokeness is a sin. It's essentially based on the story of Cain and Abel, and is trying to make the whole world think like Cain, where everybody has their safe space. They don't have to hear the voice of God. They don't have to hear what's true. They don't have to listen to the truth. They don't have to listen to gentle correction, so that when they do hear the truth, so that when they do hear the gentle correction, when they do hear what they're doing wrong, it makes them so angry that they lash out like a snake. They come to kill, just like Cain did his brother. Because if you look at the story of Cain and Abel, they were kicked out of paradise. So they weren't literally walking with God at the time. But it says God spoke to Cain. There's a mystery right there. Right there in the mystery, if God spoke to Cain and they're no longer with God, then God must have spoke through either Adam, Eve, or Abel. We know Abel was the good one. Abel was the one who found divine favor and was doing something right. So more than likely, God was speaking through Abel. So essentially what it's saying there is God spoke to Cain and said in Genesis 4:7, if you do what's right, you're going to receive the same blessing, the same favor, the same good outcome that your brother got, that Abel got. If you do the same thing, you'll get the same results. I don't know if there's many people out there who's ever tried to teach somebody to do something and the person didn't understand, and then they got frustrated and just lashed out. I remember, I know a guy who's helped me before on a lot of carpentry jobs. He would always get confused between the Phillips head, the square bit, the star bit, the flat head. He had trouble matching up his different shapes for some reason. And don't get me wrong, I'd get a little frustrated too from time to time. I'd be like, Jeremy, yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have said his name. I'm going to try to censor that in a little bit. But I'd be like, dude, like, you're putting the wrong bit to the wrong screw. You got to use the right size screw. Like, here, you got to get the right bit. And like, he had trouble figuring it out. And every time I'd correct this guy, he'd be like, what do you mean? I know what I'm doing. It's just stripping it out because it's the drill. It's the drill's problem. I'm like, buddy, you got the wrong bit on there. You're not going to be able to unscrew or screw the screw with the wrong bit. And just, that's what wokeness is. It's conditioning somebody to lash out and get mad when they hear the truth. Naturally, people hate to hear the truth when they're doing something wrong. That's just a fact of life. But Genesis 4:7 says, if you do the right thing, you'll receive the same favor. But be careful. Sin crouches at your door. It wants to have you. Okay? It crouches at your door. Sin crouching at your door, that's a metaphor right there. Okay? If it's at his door, it's like a trap. It's just right outside waiting for him. So if the sin is right outside his door waiting for him, it means that his sin is right there exposed. It means other people already see it. Other people already know it's there. Other people see what's going on, and they're trying to get you to do the right thing. But God said, warning, it wants to consume you, or you must rule over it. Okay? If you don't rule over the sin, if you let it consume you, then you become like Cain. You go and kill your brother. Okay? And when Cain killed his brother, it brought a curse on the land. Like, serious curse. Like, look at the Sahara Desert. That's, if you really study your history, your legends, dig deep into stuff, the Sahara Desert is the most likely place that Eden was at. Like, most scholars who have really studied this believe it was somewhere in the Sahara Desert. It's where paradise once was. Like earthly paradise, Eden, the Garden of Eden. And now the Sahara Desert, it's a wasteland. It's a desert. It's a wilderness. Like, nobody could live in that. And, I mean, the Sahara Desert is a testament and testimony that, like, what the Bible says is true, and that God's wrath and his judgment leaves scars on the earth. Like, leaves serious scars, permanent scars on the earth. But, I guess in the end times, it says that, I guess paradise more or less will be restored. And I pray that we get to see that. It may be in our lifetime. It may be in the next generation. It may be 1,000 years from now. But it does say that paradise will be restored, or will return as the kingdom. That's going to be another video. But the thing is, wokeness literally means to think like Cain. It means to become so overly sensitized that you get angry at anybody who speaks the truth to you. And if you get angry at anybody who speaks the truth, you're just going to lash out just like Cain. And you don't want to be a Cain. So next time somebody's talking about this wokeness, woke ideology, now I get safe spaces a little bit. Like there needs to be a safe space where you can discuss new ideas, um, new concepts, and yeah, like a safe space has good use, but a safe space shouldn't be a permanent, long-term, everlasting type thing. Like a safe space, if you're at a school with a history of racism, like where the school has had numerous recent problems with racism, I could see having a safe space where people can feel like they're safe. But if there's not an outright blatant issue, you don't need a safe space. A safe space is a bad thing. A safe space turns you into a robot. Okay? It turns you into a mindless zombie. Okay? It makes you into a Nazi zombie. It makes you into a stormtrooper. Essentially, a lot of socialist ideology is about getting people to quit questioning things. And I don't know why people would want somebody to quit questioning things, but it's a phenomenon I've been experiencing a lot. Like where I will go to people who you would think would have the answers and ask them a difficult question, and they literally run away. Like they literally run away. I've had pastors run from me. I've had multiple doctors run from me. I can think of 3 different medical doctors just right off of the top of my head that literally ran because I asked them a question that flipped their whole ideology upside down. I mean, like a question where it was so far beyond them, like they couldn't do anything but flee. For example, not that long ago, I guess a year or two ago, I had some ulcers on my feet and ankles and legs, and I went to the hospital because the pain was just so bad. I mean, it felt like somebody putting a cigar out on my ankle. And I went to the doctor, and I was like, what can we do? What is this? Like, I'd been to about 10 different doctors over this, and every doctor said something different, or most of the time they'd tell me something where I'd look it up on WebMD, I'd check the PubMed, and like the symptoms that I was experiencing and the symptoms for what they diagnosed me with, 9 times out of 10 did not match at all. Like, not even close. And I'd ask the doctor. I know this one doctor is like, it's cellulitis, it's a skin infection, I'm going to give you some antibiotics. I was like, whoa. Hold on. Doctor, tell me something. You said it's a skin infection. Do you see any sign whatsoever at all of an infection there? He takes a second look. Well, no, it doesn't appear to be infected. I'm like, okay. So you told me you're diagnosing me with a skin infection. You're telling me there is no sign whatsoever of a skin infection. Can you please explain that? Just take the antibiotics. I don't have time to explain that. I got other patients. And took off running. And I mean, hospitals shouldn't treat people like this. Most people don't have enough sense to know to ask their doctor a question. Okay, most people haven't read medical books and all that. I was raised by 2 medical doctors, like 2 medical doctors influencing my upbringing from 13 until 17, almost 18. And I was trying to do the pre-med thing. I was a chemistry major. Like, I read medical books. Like, I understand the stuff. I did a lot of research in biochemistry, neurophysiology while I was in school, mainly just as projects, just because it interested me. I wanted to understand how the human brain works. But I guess I didn't pursue it. So don't consider me a doctor by any means, but I definitely have done some research, more than your average person. But we've got a serious problem where we can't even ask a doctor a question, or I can't. Anytime I ask a doctor, well, usually when I ask a doctor a serious question, the doctor runs or they try to control the situation and tell me, no, you can't talk about that in here. You can't ask questions about the vaccine because it might make my other patients upset. Yeah, I had 2, 3 doctors tell me that. Yeah, they said, no, you can't talk about the vaccine. You can't ask questions about it in here. It might upset the other patients. Something is seriously freaking wrong, people. And it's a large part of this wokeness. Wokeness was designed to make people get upset when they're exposed to the truth. And even the doctors are brainwashed. The doctors are freaking brainwashed, mindless zombies who don't know what the hell they're doing. Pardon my French. But go have an honest conversation with the doctor. They don't know what they're talking about. It's terrifying. Oh my God, I had one doctor, my main doctor, where I think they actually suspended him. Like, I haven't seen him there anymore at the hospital ever since he said, oh, it's just a little mRNA chain. Looks kind of like a squiggly snake. And then it's in a lipid nanoparticle. The nanoparticle, it's just oil. It's just oil. And I'm like, doctor, so you're saying these vaccines are literally snake oil? Like you said, it's literally snake oil. I got to get to my car real quick. I got to go to my car. Like, he turned bright red, started shaking, like couldn't get a word out, and fled. Like, he straight fled. Like Bible says, rebuke Satan and he will flee. Okay, rebuke the devil and he'll flee. That's a snake doctor. That ain't no real doctor. I mean, well, I guess he's probably the realest doctor that they have in the whole hospital. But because he's a white man, they are bullying the crap out this guy. And they're trying to get rid of him simply because he's a white man. Like, seriously. Something is seriously wrong with our country right now. Something is really, really, really broken. Okay? Like, wake up, people. Wake the crap up.